Hello, everyone. My name is Matty, and this is the first episode of Wrestling with Matty. And we are here live via Skype with a talent that is, well, out of this world, so to say. The one and only Kris Statlander. How's it going, Kris?
Pretty good. I'm eating Twizzlers right now as I head to the gym as well as pre-workout foods, I guess.
that's
So
absolutely that's
pretty
absolutely
good.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So,
Balanced diet.
no kidding, right? So you had kind of a busy weekend this past weekend, so to say. You went, if I'm correct, you went undefeated this weekend.
I did. Surprisingly, yeah.
All right, so let's start off with the probably most notable of Beyond Wrestling, the treasure hunt, and just how it felt. Who was your toughest opponent there that you had to face?
Um, I'm gonna go definitely with Chris Dickinson. Just well, he's like been there. He's their basically number one, their right hand man at Beyond Wrestling. He wouldn't have been there for so long if he had no value there. And it was also like my sixth match of the weekend, so I was just like emotionally, mentally, physically defeated at that point. So it really took everything I had to pull that win out. And I think the reason I cried after when Dickinson was giving the speech is because I was just so relieved I made it through the weekend. But
well,
yeah, I'd say he was definitely the toughest.
Well, I mean, Chris Dickinson is the pioneer of Beyond Wrestling, and I would kind of consider that little speech as a passing of the torch. And he mentioned the one match that you would kind of say, like, started off your stardom, kind of the match against John Silver. Going into that match in that crowd, what was the feel going in and the reaction after when everyone lost their mind that you pulled off the then considered upset?
Um, so going into that match, it was like I was very like casual about it. Like I was just like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be a fun little match because like I'm friends with John as much as he likes to try and pretend that we're not friends. Um, we're John and I. John's been around since I started training, so he and I know each other very well. And just like I remember, I was driving him up there, and he's just like, "Oh, what's your stuff?" Blah blah blah. It's just like, yeah, it was just like going in, like calling it too. We were just like very casual about it, so I had no idea it was gonna have such an impact that it did. Even now, I'm still like baffled at like how much like how that match was like a turning point for me. And mostly when I heard their reaction, like, yeah, it's really cool to hear all that right there in front of you. But my first thought once that match was over was, I got to get to the back. I'm so blown up. I'm going to throw up in front of everybody. I got to get out of here. Like, I don't even, like, pay attention to the way the crowd's reacting. I'm just like, oh, my God, I can't embarrass myself. I need to hide.
That's
So
ab-
that's what was going through my head.
that's absolutely fantastic. And you actually had a what I would consider, in your eyes at least, probably a dream come true. Because knowing you as a fan of wrestling, to get a call or email, whatever, that you're going to face someone like Lisa Marie Varon. To those who don't know her, that is Victoria. What was your first reaction knowing that you were going to face someone of her stature?
Okay. So it's a little disappointing, but like I think it's really cool because um, I haven't been wrestling very long, so I know it's like being put in those positions is like it's a lot of pressure, and it's sort of like you feel very honored to be trusted with that position to be wrestling the major name that comes in. But I didn't grow up watching wrestling, and I didn't actually start watching wrestling until I started training. So I'm like not very starstruck when it comes to wrestling names, unfortunately. Which I think is like a good and a bad thing. Like good in a way where I'm not like I guess like marking out whenever I see them, but like bad because I guess it can kind of seem like unprofessional because I'm not like showing respect because I just don't know. And I was very excited when I found out, but I wasn't like freaking out as like major fans would have, just because I'm just not as phased by it, I guess. But I do have a lot of respect for Lisa. She's a fantastic person. I absolutely loved working with her. She was so funny and uh, kind, and it really was an honor to be able to work with her.
I can imagine that, and I mean that's actually you put that totally perfect. Where like you didn't really follow her, but you kind of felt honored, so to say.
Oh
That
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
It's an honor to be in a company for such a short time. Like my first time in WWR, or even year, I haven't really been working for Beyond very long, or WWR. So to be able to go from that, my first time there, and some random six-person tag match to the main event with Victoria is really truly an honor to just show how much I've grown in the past year.
I was actually just about to mention that because I remember when I went to a Limitless show, and we'll actually talk about that too. And it was, I believe, you, Alley Cat, and Ashley Vox in a six-person tag team match. Compare,
I guess it's the main state posse.
yes, compare that match then to your match with Dickinson, or even your trios of matches on Sunday. What difference do you see in that time frame?
Um, well, it's hard to compare matches like that because it's such a different story that you're telling. Um, with like the six-person tag matches, it's there's so many people involved, and it's hard to really like shine and get yourself in there and really show your stuff. But in, like the singles matches that I had on Sunday, it's my own creativity, and it's just me and one other person, and I can literally do whatever I want, and I don't have to worry about other people being in my match also that I have to include. So it is difficult to compare matches like that. Although I will say, personality wise, I'd say not much change because I'm still kind of like, oh yeah, like I don't really care. Like I'll do like one or two things, and I don't really care about like what I get in the match. And that's the way I was a year ago, and I still am like that. Where it's like, yeah, I have my one or two things. I don't really care what other stuff I do. I have my own like unique offense I do, but I don't really. I only need a little bit of it. I don't need to like get all my stuff in basically. Um, but yeah, it is not exactly easy to um, to compare those matches. But I do say I will stick up for myself more, and I will try and put my own thoughts into like structuring matches now, as opposed to like just letting everyone put it put it together for me, and then me just kind of be like, yeah, I guess that was okay, but I didn't say anything, so who am I to really complain?
Oh yeah, absolutely true. And actually, I actually have it written down here. I actually missed the one match that my buddy who went to the Limitless show of you against Ashley Vox, and he praised. I even finally saw it. You and her in that street fight.
Oh, the
What?
unsanctioned match.
Yeah, the unsanctioned match. Sorry. What did you have to do to channel like a different side of Kris Statlander that than what everyone's used to seeing? What was that like in a match that not many people are really like comfortable with and just doing in general?
All right, so I was actually really really excited for that match. So I have so many ideas coming into it, and once we got there, being able to put the whole thing together, seeing what weapons we had to use and whatnot. Like we didn't do anything super crazy, but we were both like willing to like put it all out there, like do some like wild stuff. Um, I think you just have to have two people that are like really willing to do it. Like with deathmatch people, it's like they do it all the time, so they know their spots, they know what they like to do and whatnot. But we both just like aren't experienced in death matches or like hardcore really, so we kind of got to be able to put our own twists and like figure things out creatively and kind of make things our own. Um, and I think because we both like never do stuff like that, we had kind of had like an itch to try it, which I think most wrestlers tend to have a little bit. Wanting to do like some cool chair spots or stuff like that. It's just something. It gives the match a little extra kick, I think. But I don't know if I really had to channel any other side of me. Like I once we had that match, I was so excited for it. I was thinking about it like day and night leading up to it, like a month ahead of time. Like I could not wait because I am like a baby face a lot of times in most companies. So getting to be heel is fun for me because I don't get to do it very often. And then when you have weapons involved, it's just so much easier. It makes life so much better. And when you're a bad guy, and yeah, it was just really cool to just explore that type of match in a different way. And I was watching. I don't know if I got like ideas, but I watched Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa's unsanctioned match that they had like 3 times, trying
Mm-hmm.
to just like get an idea for it. Because like I said, like I didn't watch wrestling before I started training, so I didn't like know a lot of unsanctioned matches or like no DQs or anything like that. So I didn't really have like a clue like how to structure this or whatnot. But I watched that match a couple of times, and I just got like my adrenaline was going. I was so excited.
I mean, that's a
I
great
think they
match.
always have like a like six little twist in us sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's a great match to base it off of. Even when I watch it now, it's just like it gets my blood boiling.
Mhm.
And I see here that what was that at C4? You actually got to face Allison Kay and Mercedes Martinez. You faced Allison
Mhm.
Kay before. Um, what was it like not only facing her but someone of the stature of and legacy kind of Mercedes Martinez along with Allison
Um, that match also got turned into like a no DQ also, like last minute. So there was a little bit of a twist added to that also. But it was really it was really fun, and I was so happy that I got to be in there with those two girls because triple threat matches are hard. And the way we did it, I think that we structured it totally differently. We try to make things like unexpected and fun, and um, we tried to tell a totally different story that no one's really ever seen before. And I think we were able to pull that off really well. I think we all worked really well together, and especially like the last time I worked Allison Kay, it was like over a year ago, and that was before I even started doing the whole alien thing. So it's cool to see how like I was for. I remember when I wrestled her, I was just telling her how I was like coming up with the idea to transition into the whole alien character. So I was still not doing it yet, but I told her about the idea, and now I finally it was like came full circle. So that was really cool.
Kay. Yeah, I actually just came across that on YouTube, and I was just like, wait, who's this? That's not Chris. Who's
Uh
this
huh.
person?
Yeah, that's human form, Chris.
So you mentioned about the whole alien uh, gimmick or stature, so to say. Where did that originate, and how did you like come up with it?
Okay, so I've been a huge fan of like space and science my whole life. Um, Always my best subject in school. I just loved doing it. It was just so interesting to me. And so I don't want to like Uh, in a way, it's like they always say like a wrestling character should be like some sort of like extremely turned up version of yourself. And like I wasn't like excluded from things, but I never exactly like fit into like a specific group of people to hang out with or anything. So I always had like I was always able to talk to everybody, but I never really hung out with anybody because I had my own life going on and I was just busy. Um, so in a way, like aliens, they don't like they're not like other humans. So it's like there's that aspect of it, and it's like you're always so curious to learn more about them because there's so much you don't know. And I felt like that's kind of like whenever I would get to know someone else, they'd always be like, "Oh my god, like you're so much cooler than I thought you were." And I was just like, "Well, yeah, but like no one takes the time to figure you out." So I like to say it's like a weird way, in a weird, ironic way, a turned up version of myself.
And that's where the Katy Perry ET fits in perfectly, correct?
I guess, yeah, that song kind of just I was just like it took me such a long time to like figure out a good song to use as an entrance, and I would like listen to that, and um and that song would kind of get me pumped up a little bit, like if I would like blast it really loud. And I'm not like comfortable doing like a conventional like pretty girl gimmick and stuff like that because again like I'm just like I feel like I'm kind of like an awkward person, so I wanted a more like mysterious, intriguing type character. I started thinking about stuff like that also after I had wrestled Rosemary, so she kind of got like the gears turning into like doing like a more out there character. um and then like I was like listening to the song and I'm just like, what if I do something like this? So that's kind of how it all happened.
That actually was I was just about to bring up too, because I was gonna say because I followed Rosemary when she was in Smash because I got buddies that were there, and they said just watch the Rosemary and Allie feud. It was one of the best feuds in independent wrestling at the time, and the transformation that Rosemary made, is that what kind of made you transform into the alien?
Um, not exactly. It was just like the overall idea of having a different way um, to portray yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that now. Uh, do you have any shows coming up that you would like to plug?
Sure. This weekend I'm going to be filling in for Layla Hirsch at CCW. I will be wrestling Jordan Grace for the Spirit title, the WSU Spirit title, I believe. Um, so yeah, that's all I have this weekend. That's all I can
Nice.
remember right
And then you have, I know you have social media if you want to throw those out there as we wrap it up.
now. Yes. Um, Twitter and Instagram are both call me Kris Stat, CALLMEKRISSSTAT. Call me Kris Stat, both Twitter and Instagram.
Alrighty. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kris Statlander. And thank you very much for taking time out and doing this interview.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
Live long and prosper, humans.